Hi, welcome to Catherine Ann Energy. I am Catherine Ann, an intuitive astrologer and galactic channel. Welcome to my YouTube channel where astrology meets intuition and spirit speaks through the stars. So today we're going to be looking at the energies of the full moon in Sagittarius, which is occurring on June 11th at 12:43 a.m. Pacific time. So you're going to want to adjust for your time zone to know the exact time, but 12:43 a.m. Pacific time on June 11th. And if you can see on the chart that I have behind me, the moon is occurring in the sign of Sagittarius at 20 degrees, which means that the sun is in Gemini at 20 degrees. So we're looking at always with a full moon that the sun and the moon are on opposite sides of the chart. And that is what creates the big, bright, full illumination of the moon. So when we're looking at this full moon, we always want to come in mind with the framework of the cycle of the moon. So when I do my new moon and full moon episodes, we're looking at new moon, new energy, seed planting time, starting something fresh. Full moon is when that grows to a full culmination point in a sense because it's going to fully come to light. And then you have the opportunity to adjust or change based on what you're seeing, how your manifestation is growing, and then continue to move forward in the lunation cycle until you harvest it. And then we start the cycle all over again. So, what we're going to be looking at today with the full moon in Sagittarius is a moon that is ruled by Jupiter. And the exciting thing about this is that Jupiter has just moved into Cancer just a couple days before this new moon on June 9th. And this is amazing, fantastic, best thing that's happened all year in 2025 because Jupiter, the planet of blessings and expansion, is now moving out of its detriment in Gemini, where it wasn't super comfortable and made our minds super, super busy. And it's now moving into its exaltation in Jupiter, where it is happy as can be, so content to move into this abundant, watery, nurturing sign of Cancer and expand and grow and feel like everything that it wants to offer can be nourished by the water of the Cancer sign. So, this moon in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, is in a very good position because Jupiter is fully resourced to be able to help the moon have whatever it needs. So that's a good starting point. It's a really nice thing after all of these other transits where we've had Jupiter and Gemini, which just really wasn't able to give us its full bounty. So now we have Jupiter has just moved into Cancer. And then the other amazing thing is that the sun on the opposite side of this moon is in Gemini. So we have the sun that is ruled by Mercury. We just spent about the last couple weeks from the time of the last lunation video that I recorded to the June 11th time. We have been mostly with Mercury and Gemini, and it just seems like that universal perfection that we're going to end Jupiter's time in Gemini with the sun in Gemini, with Mercury, its ruler in Gemini. And it is like everything that you have been thinking of or that you needed to do is all getting bombarded with that go, 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 busy, busy, busy energy in Gemini. And now we move in to Jupiter, Mercury, and now Mercury and Jupiter move into Cancer, and that busyness is going to relax a little bit, which is so nice. So I feel like we're all going to be able to take a breath and enjoy some, ooh, okay, some softer, nurturing, take a breath kind of energy. So, what we're really looking at with this full moon in Sagittarius is, again, we're talking about Mercury has a component here. Jupiter is ruling this moon, but also Mercury and Jupiter are side by side, newly in Cancer. So they are basically holding hands, which is a really lovely thing because the planets that are so involved in this particular lunation are actually hanging out together. And we're going to look at how that's going to be a really supportive thing for this lunation. So, As we look at this, we really want to reflect on what does Sun in Gemini say? Sun in Gemini is quick, we're mentally agile, it's communication, it's airy, it's go and do and have fun. But now that its ruler Mercury is in Cancer, it's moved into some more emotional, deeper spiritual waters. And so instead of being super airy, we're now a little bit more cozy with our communication, a little bit more emotional with our communication. That can be for good or for a little bit of sensitivity. But Mercury, that is ruling the sun, is kind of calming down that Gemini busyness. And then when we look at Sagittarius, that is ruled the moon, that is the full moon, we're looking at expansion and growth, and we want to dream big. And so that's a real difference between Gemini and Sagittarius, ruled by Mercury and Jupiter, is that Jupiter is big in expansion and Mercury is all the little details. So we do have a little bit of a juxtaposition between the dream big and all the little details. But with Jupiter and Mercury sitting there together, they're at least collaborating on how they're going to balance this out. So the Sagittarius moon, ruled by this exalted Jupiter, is saying, let's look to the future. Let's dream big. Let's go for it. And we're not going to get overwhelmed by all those details that Mercury had us spinning with, that Jupiter and Gemini had us spinning with. We're going to now have a more, a smoother energy of the let's go for it instead of being overwhelmed with all the little details and wanting to do everything all at once. So the next thing we want to look at with this moon is the moon is actually not being aspected by anything else, but Jupiter, which is its ruler, is. And this is very important. And since Jupiter and Mercury are holding hands together in the sign of Cancer, they're both being aspected by a square to Saturn and a square to Neptune, because Saturn and Neptune are now hanging out together in Aries with less than a degree of separation. So what does that do to our dream big? Well, Saturn's a little bit of a reality check. So with Saturn squaring Jupiter that wants us to dream big, Saturn saying, wait, hold on. Have you thought about everything? Can you really do this? And then, ironically, with it side by side with Neptune, which is also that planet of let's dream big, let's go for it, actually to the sense of fantasy and illusion, Saturn is reality checking Neptune too. So it's this double whammy of we really want to go for it. We really want to dream. What do we want? And Saturn is saying, yeah, that's all good, but there's a way that this has to be done. There might be things that have to be put into place, some structures formed. We might have to crumble things that are not serving us. We need to take a hard look at this if these dreams are going to be successful. So, some of the questions that Saturn is asking for us as it's sitting next to Neptune and squaring Jupiter, the ruler of this moon, is, have you really thought this through? Have you considered the possible roadblocks? Are there obstacles that may be in your path to what you really want? And have you thought about how you're going to overcome those? Is this really practical? And so Neptune doesn't want anything to do with practical. And Jupiter finally feeling like it could just be in its comfy exaltedness is like, I have everything I need now. Let's go for it. And Saturn is still saying, hold the phone. Is this practical? We need to think about what we're doing here. And then the other thing that Saturn is saying is, do you realize that where you want to go or what you want to do is going to take some work? So Saturn is saying, as much as Neptune and Jupiter want to just say, let's go for it, let's wave our magic wand and let's bring our dreams into fruition, Saturn is saying, there's a process here, and you're going to have to take steps in order to bring this in fruition. Now, Saturn is not saying no. It's a reality check, but it's not a dream killer necessarily. It's a what I would call an illusion killer. So it's going to say, nope, not possible. That was not based in reality. Let's rethink this. How do we adjust it so that we can have what we want? So it's not throwing everything out. It's just saying we need to think this through a little bit. We've spent a lot of time with Saturn and Neptune together in Pisces, which was super, super dreamy. And even though Saturn did a really good job trying to contain Neptune and Pisces and set forth like spiritual practices and structures around our faith and our dreams, now that we've moved into Aries and we're like, let's go for it, it's now going, okay, well, yes, we got some of your dreams and spiritual structures in check. Now we got to work on the actual you piece of it, that impulsivity that wants to go, go, go and stop dreaming about things is now going to have to be mediated. So you'll notice on my screen, I have the 10 of Wands. And the reason I have the 10 of Wands is because this full moon has moved into 20 degrees of Sagittarius, which is the third decan of Sagittarius. And the tarot card associated with the third decan of Sagittarius is the 10 of Wands. And it could not be more perfect for what we're talking about, because if you look at the image of this card, you see this man with 10 wands in front of him, head barreled into them, leaning forward, charging through on his path, or on a path, I should say. And we think about this, the number 10 in tarot, as a culminating part of this journey. The journey of the wands, we're going to end at 10 before we go into the court cards. So perfect for this full moon, which is a culminating phase where we're really seeing how what we seeded earlier is now manifesting and what's coming to light. But with this card as the representation, we're realizing we are carrying the weight of the world. And so what I want you to look at is, where are you carrying too heavy of a load? And because you're carrying too heavy of a load, there's just really no way to move forward and fully bring what you want into fruition because you are overburdened. You have taken on too much, whether it's scattered distraction everywhere or it's really heavy responsibilities. What we're seeing here is that culmination point where it's like, I'm crying, uncle, I can't do this anymore. If I really want to achieve what I want to achieve, I can't be blindly carrying the weight of the world. And you can see in this card, it's blocking his view. He doesn't even know which direction he's walking on. And then that is just another element of when you are overburdened, you can't even lift your head up to make sure you're still walking the direction that is the focused path that you want to be on to achieve your dreams. And your dreams, they could be big, huge dreams, or they could be small dreams. Like, I really want to take this class, but I'm not able to take this class because I have all these other obligations that I've put into my schedule. Well, maybe in this energy of the full moon, we need to look at all of those obligations and whether or not they're blocking you from achieving what you really want to do. So, what we're realizing in this full moon, what's coming to light is, where are we on autopilot with all the things we're doing, with all the tasks that we took on during Gemini season, during Jupiter in Gemini for the past year? Where did we think all of these were great ideas and we could do them all? And we've just kept moving and moving and moving without looking up to see if it's actually taking us to where we want to go. So back to this concept of Jupiter versus Mercury. Interestingly enough, this Jupiter versus Mercury conversation also came up in the new moon in Sagittarius at the end of November in 2024. And that was our seed planting time for this cycle. So that big picture dreaming of Jupiter and Mercury's detailed busyness at the time when we were having the new moon in Sagittarius, they were opposed. So they were completely opposite each other, tug of war energy. They both wanted their time. They both wanted to be seen. They both wanted to be acknowledged in the process of your new moon in Sagittarius seed planting. So we had expansive vision and mental overload. And if you put the two together, there is only one result, and that is overwhelm and burden. And so the question is, since November of 2024, where have you been trying to do it all? And as we've transversed the past 6 months, you just kept, I can do it. I can handle it. Sure, I'll take it on. And I can't help but think about, in the global climate, especially in the US, where so many layoffs are happening, so much restructuring of employment situations, and the people who still have their jobs are now being asked to take on the work of others because the work still needs to be done, even though the employees were let go. And that was that burden and burden and burden, all those wands that you've taken on along the way. So now that we're in the full moon in Sagittarius, they're not in a tug of war anymore. We're not in this, I'm going to dream big and I'm going to take it all on to make it happen. That energy was biting off more than you can chew. And if you went back to the last video when I was with Lindsay on Cosmic Connections, we were talking about that concept of the energy being biting off more than you can chew. And what spirit said to us was, let's focus. Let's only think about one thing, because our busy minds, busy days, busy, 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 that has been a constant for the past 6 months, maybe even more. But I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people over the last couple of weeks about feeling like time is speeding up. Like there's just not enough hours in the day to do everything on our plate. And that everything on our plate is that Gemini energy and that Mercury and Gemini energy that we thankfully have moved out of, the Jupiter and Gemini energy that we have now thankfully moved out of with this full moon in Sagittarius. But now we're kind of in the cleanup, the repercussions of the do, fitting too much into one day, being everything for everyone. So many great ideas, but how do we do them all? And so what Spirit had offered us back in November, when we were in that busy hustle and bustle of the holidays and that Jupiter Mercury opposition, was plant just one seed. You may want to do it all. May want to be everything to everyone, but we just don't have the capacity. And I also feel like Spirit was kind of giving us that little like foreshadowing of just plant one seed because things are going to get wild. And so we need to think back now, while that seed was trying to sprout and life started moving at warp speed and more stuff got piled on us. Now, where are we at? And if you think about, as a seed sprouts in the garden, the garden is such a great analogy for lunation conversations. When a seed is sprouting, it is not in a bubble with nothing else sprouting around it. We have weeds, we have other things that are sprouting up all around it. So this is really what we're wanting to look at now. Is we're at the full moon. Jupiter and Mercury are working together. It's a completely different energy. Jupiter is happy to swim in these nurturing waters of Cancer. Mercury is more in touch with its emotions and less with that busy mind. So it's less about go, go, go. And now Mercury is in this softer, dreamier form of communication. And so what Spirit gave me was this image of now Mercury and Jupiter sitting together like two friends sitting in a cozy nook, maybe having some tea, chatting about their dreams, relaxing, feeling nurtured, and able to just take a beat and dream. And that's what the invitation for this full moon is. It's about slowing down, which sounds wild after we've been moving through such fast energy. But I feel like Spirit constantly brings this back to us, right? The importance of slowing down, taking a moment to ground, to center, to listen to ourselves. And again, we're being reminded of the importance of doing that. But this time, think about what we're trying to manifest back in November. What was that seed that you were planting, and have you lost the plot? Has life just got so busy that you even forgot that you wanted to do that because you couldn't see the forest for the trees? It's just been go, 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 full steam ahead. And I don't have any time to think about nurturing that seed I planted back at the end of November. So, referring back to this 10 of Wands, have you been overburdened? Or has your dream gotten overburdened because you overcomplicated it? You tried to do too much at once and you lost the plot, you lost the thread, you lost the focus. So this happens, right? We're in a busy world. The energy of all of the astrology is saying this is real. And now this full moon gives us the permission to come back to the heart of what we really wanted, reconnect with what matters to us, and say, okay, yes, that one seed. Do I still want it? First of all, was that an intention that I planted that was from the heart and is something I really wish I could develop? And if so, then what adjustments do we need to make to help that along? And so the invitation from spirit is it's time to weed the garden. And you think about if you scatter a bunch of seeds, I know that a couple weeks ago we talked about that idea of throwing seeds in the dandelion, blowing in the wind. So think about that idea of you've sown a bunch of seeds. And now you found which ones were sprouting, but a couple of them are sprouting up all around each other. Well, there's not room for that plant to grow. It doesn't have enough soil for its root base. It can't grow to its fullness because it's smushed, it's overburdened by all the other sprouts that came up too. So this is a culling time. This is a time where we take that bright light of the full moon that's going to shine on all these sprouts. And you're going to say, well, what's the one? What's the one thing that really is important to me? And I'm going to weed everything else, or as much as you can, you're going to weed it out so that one dream, that one pursuit, that one vision that you're trying to bring through has room to grow. And that is what this full moon is asking of us. So going back to this idea of Saturn giving us the reality check, some of these might be hard choices. We may have to let go of things that we feel obligated to. We committed to something, and now we have to commit to ourselves. We have to commit to our dream. And with Saturn so recently in Aries, there's going to be a lot of conversations about committing to ourselves. What hard work, where do we have to pull in discipline to do what we need to do in measured ways? We're also going to be thinking about, was that just a wild Neptunian fantasy that I planted, or is it something that I actually really want? Because maybe that one thing you planted back in November, you realize maybe that was me just in dream world and it was a little beyond what I actually want. I've learned over the last 6 months, but with all this Gemini energy, so many other ideas have been sprouted. Let's look around and figure out what's that one thing we're going to focus on. And we're going to talk about pretty soon now about how each of the zodiac signs is going to have this showing up in a different area of their life and how it's going to be supported by this beautiful Jupiter energy. So if you're not quite sure, listen to where your zodiac sign lights up, because that might give you an indication of where we're going to be putting our focus now. So the other thing I really want to talk about, going back to this 10 of Wands idea, is we talk about releasing the burden so that you can focus on where you want to go. But I also really want to look at this image. It's such a good analogy because maybe if he didn't have so many wands, he could see where he was going. But because he has so much to carry, he just has to put his head down and bear the brunt of how heavy it is and how hard it is. So as you release these obligations, these ideas, people, whatever it is that you're going to be saying, you know what, I need to let go of some of these things. We get down to maybe you have one or two left. And now those wands, they're not a burden anymore. Now they're a support. And this is really important for as we move forward. You really want to be in a place where your dreams and your visions serve as a support for you along the way, something to ground into, something to have as like your guiding star, as opposed to, I have so much to do. And then when things in life happen, everything tumbles because you couldn't carry it all anyways. And so you get swept away by changes or shakes and movements instead of having that one or two strong pillars that can hold you while we navigate the continual changes of 2025. So I feel like this full moon in Sagittarius is coming at such a beautiful time, mid-year, big changes with Jupiter moving into Cancer, with Aries and Neptune, or Saturn and Neptune now both in Aries, lots of big changes in energy. And Saturn is saying, okay, pick one or two things to have as your pillar as we navigate all these changes. Okay, so let's bring ourselves back to the moon and the intention setting. So this full moon in Sagittarius says, I want progress. I want learning. I want expansion. I want dreaming, all these Jupiterian qualities. And Saturn's impact here is saying it's time to cut back all the superfluous so that we're free to pursue that adventure. And Sagittarius is such a sign of adventure. It wants to explore and see the new and experience life. And so Jupiter is saying, yes, I want to help you do that. You got to let go of some of these burdens. And we have to really focus on what it is that we're dreaming. What adventure is it that we are trying to bring into our lives? Because that focus, that attention to that dream or that intention is what's going to allow it to fully manifest. Right now, it's just a sprout. In order for it to fully manifest, it needs room to grow and it needs to be nourished by your constant focus and your determination to make it happen. If we split our focus far and wide between too many things all at once, it's very likely that nothing will pan out, right? Because nothing got the room to grow. Nothing got all the soil and all the water. Nothing got your full attention. And so everything that you were working on started to fall by the wayside because they didn't get everything it needed in order to come to fruition. So what we're going to be looking at when we look at all of the signs and how this is showing up for you is the two key players that we're looking at are the moon, of course, in Sagittarius. And then where is Jupiter? Because Jupiter moving into Cancer, this exalted space for the next 12 months is in a very supportive position. And although currently with this moon, it's in a position called aversion, so it can't actually see the moon. It is still its ruler. It's still very supportive of it. And so although you may not in this exact moment or even for a little bit more time be able to see exactly how Jupiter is supporting this vision, trust me that in the next 12 months, you will fully understand how Jupiter is bringing blessings and expansion to an area of your life to support you in bringing your dreams through. So we are going to be looking at the house the moon is in. That's where that focused point of attention is. And the house that Jupiter is in, saying, I've got you. You are fully supported. Let's do this. Okay. So then after I go into the signs, I just want to give the little heads up that there is a transit that's happening also concurrently from the 9th to about the 15th that is going to have an impact on this whole process. So after we get through all the signs, I'm going to come back, wrap up with this next transit that shed a little bit more light on the energy of what's happening, and then wrap it all up. So we are going to start with Aries. And what Aries has for the full moon is a focus on the ninth house of travel, study, religion, international, justice, law, faith. So, is there a dream to travel? Are you wanting to move internationally? Or have you been thinking about going back to school, taking a class, learning something new? Do you have legal pursuits that you're interested in? Or maybe you just want to dive deeper into your spirituality, and did you plant any of those seeds in November and they kind of got in the weeds? So now you're going to cull away all the stuff that is getting in the way, the distractions, the busyness. Focus on that one main topic and know that Jupiter in your fourth house of home, family, your emotional foundation, your lineage, your ancestry, even Jupiter's got you. And so that dream that you're pursuing, you're going to find that you have the support at the base of your chart. You are fully supported in making this happen, Aries. So whether it's that your family has your back or resources from your family, because Jupiter is resourcing, or maybe it's just that you actually literally have the home or the real estate to make these dreams come true. You have what it takes with Jupiter support in your fourth house of home and family. Okay, so Taurus, we are looking at the full moon in Sagittarius is showing up in your eighth house, debt, taxes, inheritance, resources from others, the psyche, the occult. So there's a couple different slants we could take here. In the very kind of traditional fundamental sense, what is lighting up in this area that has to do with legacy wealth, money? Are you wanting to establish a more secure inheritance for your children? Are you wanting to bring more financial security and stability? This is also the house that talks about the mercantile things. And since Mercury has been so involved in this moon, what's going on with business endeavors that you're looking at bringing into a fuller manifestation? And what you need to know is Jupiter is in your third house of siblings, extended family, cousins, uncles, that type of thing, your neighborhood, your little inner bubble is where Jupiter is. So you are going to find a lot of support from your local environment, from your neighborhood, from if you're in clubs, maybe from some short distance trips. You are going to be benefiting from this local little bubble for the whole next year to help you launch and really bring to light these endeavors you're looking for. If you want to look at it from the spiritual side of crossing the veil and mediumship and that type of thing, you're going to be finding that maybe you already have a network that is going to help you learn how to do that at a deeper level, because the third house is also the house of learning and developing those skills close by to you. Okay, so we're going to look at Gemini now. Gemini, you have the full moon in your seventh house of partnership. So those committed relationships, those one-on-one relationships being lit up. What do you want to bring in? If you are not in a relationship and you want one, what do you want that to look like? And what are you doing in your busy life that is keeping you from having the relationship that you really want? And that could apply also if you're in a current relationship. What are you doing that is keeping you so busy and distracted that you're not actually being able to develop that deeper bonded relationship with your partner that you really want? And what Jupiter is doing for you in Cancer is this second house of resources. So, holy moly, Gemini, This is a great place for Jupiter to be moving into. Jupiter is moving into for the next year this house that is going to make you feel resourced. It is going to expand your ability to bring in income. It is going to expand your ability to learn. It's going to help you grow in all areas that have to do with income, value, cash, resources in general, not resources of other, what you're bringing in yourself. So when you think about that, if you are very well resourced and you're being taken care of financially, whether you're bringing it in or spirit is setting the stage for you to be provided for, maybe you don't need to hustle so hard and you can focus on those one-on-one relationships because really Jupiter's got your finances covered. So that's something to think about in this full moon in Sagittarius. Where do you pull away all the stuff that's not letting you develop that committed one-on-one intimate relationship that you want? Cancer, lucky Cancer with Jupiter moving into your sign for the next year. This is beautiful. So for Cancer, this full moon is moving into your sixth house. So the sixth house is known as the house of ill health and service, and it can be a little bit challenging. So maybe let's think about what were you doing 6 months ago? And did you plant any intentions around, I want to be more healthy. I want to be less stressed and less scattered in my life. And I want to be able to focus on my well being, my health, and potentially even feeling well enough to be able to be of service to others, because this is also that place where you can really look at being of service to others or others being of service to you. So, where have you got lost in the weeds with this concept of working on well being, on health, on feeling in balance so that you can serve and be served? And where Jupiter is coming in to support you is in this first house of self. So, Cancer, you're going to be really feeling blessed, I feel like, over this next year of just like feeling who you are. Now, mindful that the first house is about body, appearance. It's also about how you show up in the world, and Jupiter is going to expand. So maybe Saturn will help you out a little bit to be mindful to not expand your body unless you want to, because you have so many blessings. They just gave me this feeling of like the Midas touch and the gluttony that can happen from the Midas touch. So that's the double-edged sword of having Jupiter in your sign exalted in your first house. But it is going to really support your health, which is great because this full moon in Sagittarius is where things are going to come to light, where you have been ignoring or busying yourself or allowing yourself to get lost in mental chatter and not be in your body. And Jupiter's going to say, no, we're going to work on this now. So that's great. Okay, Leo, you are going to have this full moon in your fifth house of children, creativity, romance, fun, entrepreneurship. And so, Leo, what adventures do you want to bring into this world? Do you want to bring a new child into the world? Do you want to start a new business, go off on an adventurous romantic fling? Do you just want to have fun? So, Leo, with Sagittarius already the house that is in your fifth house of fun, you know how to have fun. This is something that's important to you. So, where have you gotten just so busied, so in the weeds of the day to day that you've forgotten how to have some fun? So let's focus on fun. Let's focus on romance for this full moon. Let's focus on your children and create creative endeavors and dream big about how you want to expand in that area, knowing that Jupiter is actually helping you behind the scenes in that 12th house of the subconscious. And so Jupiter expands, not really, it's a neutral expansion, right? So Could it expand some of that monkey mind? It absolutely could, something to be aware of. But if we're going to think about the benefic aspect of Jupiter, this is really going to support and bring blessings to your mental health, well being, that ability to overcome maybe self sabotaging tendencies or things that are getting the best of you mentally, emotionally. Jupiter's going to come in here and say, I've got you. Let's work on this so it doesn't derail us. And in this full moon in particular, let's go have some fun. Let's not get lost in the weeds of, oh my gosh, I have so much to think about, so much to process, so much going on. Okay, so we're going to move on to Virgo. Virgo, this full moon is showing up in your fourth house of home, family, uh, father figures, real estate, your lineage. And so, what have you been working on? What have you been hoping to bring to light in this area? And it's interesting because I just got in from Spirit this concept of, is there some sort of deep dive that you want to go into? With Sagittarius, there's adventure, there's exploration, there's understanding culture and philosophies. So, are you wanting to understand your family heritage more, your family culture? Are you wanting to just enjoy it more, but you've been way too busy? Lucky Virgo, you have Jupiter that is going to be going through your 11th house of hopes and wishes and dreams and friendship for the next year. So just know your dreams are being supported. And you might not quite be able to see it as we just made this transition and this moon is not in the line of sight of its ruler. But I'm telling you, over the next year, you are going to see how much your friends and networks are such blessings to you. And in this case, I wonder about getting involved with cultural or community networks that really speak to your family heritage or your lineage, or, a club that your family's always been a part of, or something like that. Something that feels like home is what you're really exploring in this full moon in Sagittarius. And you're letting go of anything that doesn't help you bring that to fruition. Okay, Libra, you are going to see this full moon in your third house of neighborhood, siblings, communication. So, what are you trying to bring to light in this area? Your local environment. What is it that you were hoping to bring about? Are you, wanting to do something in your community, like planting a community garden, or, put on some event, like put on a block party or something like that? Something you wanted to do and you've just got so overwhelmed by all the day to day that you haven't really been able to just go out there and enjoy your local environment. I just got this image of like going to work and coming back and going to work and coming back and just being so overwhelmed with all the things and all the responsibilities of the day that you're not just getting to enjoy life around you. And so this full moon in Sagittarius is saying, what can you let go of so that you can enjoy life around you, so that you can enjoy your extended family and your local networks? And where Jupiter is really going to be supportive of this is in your career. So, Libras, you are going to see expansion in your career space. And so, as I say that, I think, oh, does that mean I'm going to be working more? How in the world am I going to have time to enjoy my local environment if I'm working more? That doesn't necessarily have to be what it is. I feel like we're talking about work smarter, not harder. We're talking about being seen and recognized for what you're capable of. We're not talking about all the menial tasks. We're not talking about stacks of paper or 100 emails now flooding and your work and you have to deal with all of this stuff. We're talking about the blessings of Jupiter making it a more nurturing environment in your workspace, in your career, in your public reputation, as opposed to the busy, 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 busy that we've all been in for the last year. So, with that, I think you're going to find that your local network is going to get a little bit more of you. And you may even feel, Libra, with your 10th house being a Cancer house, work already may feel like home to you, or you wish it did. And this is going to be an extension of that energy. Scorpio, this full moon is going to be in your second house of money, assets, income, things you value. And so, where have you wanted to do something that is going to bring in more income? And this makes me feel like, you planted that seed of that side hustle you want to do, or, you planted the seed of trying to figure out how to get a raise. What is it that you've been doing, trying to figure out how to improve your cash flow, to improve your feeling that you're being valued for what you offer and that things of value are coming to you? This is where things have gotten in the weeds. So you're going to pull away the distractions and get a little bit more focused on this place of bringing in more income, growing. This might mean, because it's a Sagittarius and it's ruled by Jupiter, we might be talking about international stuff. We might be talking about needing to expand your network, expand out beyond what you were thinking, go further, go bigger, because Jupiter wants growth and expansion out there. So this is not working necessarily in a small little bubble. This is saying, okay, now I'm going to get focused and I'm going to spread my network out so that I can bring in more income. And what's beautiful about this is that I I said all of that without even remembering that Jupiter is going into your ninth house of travel. So travel, international, education, faith, growth in belief systems. So you are perfectly primed, Scorpio, in this full moon to pull away all the distractions and really go big on this manifestation that you are trying to bring to light. Sagittarius, you are going to see this full moon in the first house of you. So where do you need to see something about yourself that you have not been seeing? Where have you gotten so overwhelmed, so overburdened, so busy, busy, busy that you haven't been taking care of you? And 6 months ago, when we had that new moon in Sagittarius, and you were thinking, man, I just wish I could do this. And it was for you. Something about how you show up in the world, your appearance, your body, your health, your character. How do you show up? And it's just kind of all got bogged down in the busyness of what we've been through, Jupiter and Gemini, the go, go, go. And maybe Sagittarius, you really like to have fun. Maybe you said yes to everything. And it's time to not say yes to everything, because saying yes to everything doesn't give you time to refill your cup. And so, where Jupiter is going to be supporting you is in this eighth house, resources of others. So, are you going to be bolstered by somebody else? Is a loved one going to say, I'm going to support you while you work on yourself? I can see this being kind of like I'm going to take some time off because my partner is going to support me because I need to focus on my health and well being. I need to focus on me for a while. And they want you to do that because they want to see that light come back. So you may get resources from others in that way. You may get resources from others in surprising ways like inheritance, or, I don't know much about money stuff, but I don't even know if I'm saying this right, but like something matures. And so now you're able to benefit from it. So money, income coming as a blessing from others. And it doesn't have to just be money. Even though this eighth house does deal with the resources from others, resources can come in the form of time, energy, housing, emotional support. And because this is the eighth house, it's also going to be emotional and spiritual support from those on the other side from across the veil. So, Sagittarius, really lean in to this connection with spirit, where you are going to be able to listen to your guides, give you support from the other side to help you feel more like you. Okay, Capricorn, you are seeing this full moon in Sagittarius show up in your 12th house. So this is your house of retreat, of the hidden, of the subconscious. This is where we have our hidden enemies. This is also where we can uh, I can't think of the word sabotage. This is where we can sabotage ourselves. So, where have we allowed our monkey mind to be so busy that we're not giving ourselves the ability to retreat, to reflect in a healthy way? Where are we letting our patterns and belief systems that are not supportive run away with us? And now, with this full moon in Sagittarius, we're saying, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. I am focusing on my mental health, my well being, my need for rest. This is about making this internal space sacred and letting everything else fall to the wayside. And Capricorn, I know. All those burdens are just a part of who you are. And it doesn't feel right to let them all go. Who else would do it, Capricorn, right? You feel like if I don't do it, if I don't carry all of this weight of the world, it's not going to get done. Not true. And this is an opportunity for you to see that if you let go, let people help you, and you only take on that thing that really matters to you, it becomes a pillar of support instead of back-breaking burden. And where you're going to find a lot of support is in those one-on-one relationships. So, is this your partners, your very close friends, even business partners or clients, that one-on-one relationship that is going to reflect back to you this Jupiterian abundance of, I have people in my life that care about me, that want to be in a relationship with me. And so I've got to let go of all the other junk so that I have time to receive that support from the important people in your life. Because Capricorn, you always want to do it on your own. And Jupiter is offering to you that you don't have to for this next year. And you're going to be really blessed by really special relationships in your life. So do it. Let them help you. Okay, Aquarius. This full moon in Sagittarius is moving into your 11th house of hopes and wishes and dreams. And Aquarius, this is like all the people, right? All the people. And Aquarius, you're so interesting because you really are all the people and none of the people at the same time, right? Because you kind of want to be your own eccentric person. And at the same time, you want to be with all the people. And so what we're looking at here is groups being a, a highlight, something you want to pursue. It's interesting. I just got this dropped in too. The 11th house can be also politics. So, Aquarius, are you feeling a little political with Pluto in Aquarius? You're looking for transformation. The whole world is looking for transformation. And so, are you feeling like you want to get out there and advocate for somebody, for someone, for a group of people, and you want to network and get out there? Drop all the things that are keeping you from wanting to be this person, from showing up as an advocate, philanthropy, a helper, and focus on that. And where you're going to find the support is Jupiter is going into your 6th house. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. We've talked before about how this 6th house can be the house of ill health and overwhelm. And with Jupiter expanding it, you could expand that, but Jupiter is exalted. And so Jupiter is saying, I've got you. I'm going to help you take care of yourself. I'm going to help you feel taken care of, nurtured, nourished, protected, safe in your body, in your health, in your service to others, in your daily life of all the routines that you're doing. Jupiter's going to help you feel good about that so that you can then go do for others, because you cannot fill from an empty cup. So Jupiter in Cancer in your 6th house is going to fill this cup. I want to say take heed of that message. You cannot fill from an empty cup, Aquarius. So you cannot fight the fight for others. You cannot go and be that networker, that philanthropy person, that advocate if your cup is not full. So let Jupiter fill your cup first. I feel like maybe we're not going to go into this right away. We're going to realize we're clearing stuff out, reset our vision, let Jupiter really replenish our well being. And then we go into that space as we watch this full moon now keep going in its cycle. Okay, then we're going to look at Pisces. So, Pisces, you are seeing this full moon in Sagittarius show up in your house of career, public reputation. So, what in your career space is really showing you, I want more. I want something different. Been thinking about this for a long time. I see little glimmers of the possibility, but I'm swamped. I'm just swamped. And I've been over here, I've been over there, I've been trying to take care of everyone and everything. And I can't do it anymore if I really want to achieve what I want to achieve. Pisces, you want to be seen for being that expansive, kind of like all knowing, all benefic leader. And you can't do that if you don't have some balance in your life. So, Jupiter is moving into your fifth house of children, creativity, romance, fun, entrepreneurship. Have some fun, Pisces. Connect with your kids. Get really creative. Maybe have a fun romance. You've been thinking about starting maybe a side hustle, an entrepreneur type of thing. Jupiter is really going to help you do that over this next year. And maybe the fulfillment you find in this area of your fifth house is what's going to help you realize that you can't be everything to everyone at work. You just need to be the best at what you want to be the best at, the one thing, the thing that you're responsible for. And if that means you want to be the visionary and everyone else does all the busy work, more power to you. Because Pisces, you have Sagittarius here in this 10th house. You are meant to be a visionary at work. You are meant to be adventurous and pushing boundaries and inspirational and making people believe. You are not meant to be bogged down in all the little details. So find what inspires you in your career space. Focus on that. Let everything else fall to the wayside. I'm sure there are plenty of people that can take on those tasks. And in the meantime, when everybody else is doing all the tasks that you shouldn't be responsible for anymore, go have some fun. Go get creative. Go be with your kids. Because Jupiter for the next year is saying, I want to bring blessings in this area. I want to support you. Okay, so those are all the zodiac signs that we went through. So just to wrap up, before we move on, as I mentioned before, we are going to talk about this one more transit before we close up. So another little bit of tidbit of information that Spirit dropped in right when I was about to wrap up what I had been preparing that we needed to talk about. And that is Uranus square Mars. So from June 9th to 15th, we have the Uranus and Mars square applying and then separating. So it's coming in, it's going exact, and then it's moving out. And what may have happened whenever Mars and Uranus come into contact is unexpected actions, explosiveness, explosive breakthroughs, literal explosions. Holy guacamole. Can you believe that happened? And because we're in a square, this is an aspect of tension. So this most likely is going to be a week where something happens that is not comfortable. And what Spirit really wanted us to know is take heed. All of this stuff that we've been talking about, preparing for this full moon in Sagittarius, because if you are releasing all of your burdens, if you are stopping being everything to everyone, focusing on that one or two things that you really want to do, and let those things be your pillar of strength, if something unexpected happens that shakes or breaks or separates in your life, You now have a pillar. You now have something to lean on. You have a support. Instead of the picture they gave me was like during an earthquake when all the books fall off a bookshelf and then someone gets covered in a pile of books. So imagine all of those mini responsibilities that we've been talking about that you've taken on, all the busyness, all the overwhelm, all the do. These are all the books. And what we've been talking about this whole time is it's thinning them out, pulling them all out. You only need what really matters to you. Focus on what really matters to you. What is your dream? What is your aspiration? What do you want to learn? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do that expands your soul? Hold on to that, because if something gets shaken and you already have that, you're going to be okay, right? Because you know, this is my guiding light. I know what I'm here for. I know what I'm doing. I'm good. I know that Jupiter has moved into Cancer, and for the next 12 months, it's got me. I am supported. I am provided for. I'm okay. On the flip side, let's say you don't take any of this to heed and you're like, nope, this is who I am. I'm continuing my pattern of being everything to everyone. I'm going to say busy, because I just don't want to let go of it all. I don't want to focus on one thing. I want to be spread out all over the place. When this Uranus Mars square happens, whether it's directly in your life to someone you know or a global event, it's going to rock you. And it's going to cause all the books to topple on you, right? It's overwhelm, burden. So Uranus brings breakthrough. We can break through our own active choice of working the process and working with the universe, or we can go through breakthrough by force. And Mars is by force. So Spirit's saying to you, which one do you want it to be? Do you want to work in harmony with the universe and heed the advice of the energies that are in front of you? Or would you rather have the rug pulled out from under you? Because Mars square Uranus can do that. So I'm not saying that everyone here is going to have the rug pulled out from under you, because if you're watching my channel, my guess is you're working the processes. You are doing the attempts to be in harmony with the universal energies. But good to know, we've got some shake, rattle, and roll happening that week of June 9th to 15th. So maybe we want to make sure that we are not in a place where we are so overwhelmed and so overburdened. Ask for help. Use your resources. Don't take on too much. You're not meant to do it all yourself. Okay, so in conclusion of the full moon in Sagittarius, let's just pull it back as a reminder. The full moon in Sagittarius wants us to be brave, adventurous, big thinkers, and going for it. And Saturn is saying, if we want to do that, we have to take a hard look. We have to be honest. Have we taken on too much in the name of progress and growth? Or have we taken on too much in the name of the busyness of Jupiter in Gemini and Mercury busy? That could be true too. But now we're going to cut away what's unnecessary. We're going to focus our energy on what matters. We're going to let go. So our dream has the room to live, to breathe, to bloom, knowing that for the next 12 months, Jupiter has your back. You are supported. Trust the process. Even if you don't see it quite yet, very quickly, as the months go by with Jupiter in Cancer, you will see how it's bringing blessings into your life and you are supported. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this discussion about the energy surrounding the full moon in Sagittarius. If you would like a personal reading to know how it's exactly showing up in your chart, you can book that at katherineannenergy.com. And if you know somebody that would enjoy this content, please share it. Remember to like and subscribe so you can see all my future videos. I look forward to seeing you again, and happy dreaming.